Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some hot topics. First up, the NDP is calling out the Canadian government for not being transparent enough during trade negotiations with the US, especially with the upcoming G7 summit where big talks are expected. The concern? That the government might be hiding some preliminary discussions, and folks want more clarity and accountability. Next, we're shifting gears to Japan, where the defense minister is dreaming big. He's pushing for Japan to become a major player in defense exports and foster regional security partnerships, especially in the Indo-Pacific. It's a strategic move to boost Japan's defense industry and regional influence, with some interesting ideas about collaborating with countries like Australia and the Philippines. And finally, US senators are sounding the alarm about Russia. They believe Putin is stalling peace talks and preparing for a new offensive in Ukraine, possibly as soon as fall. They're urging swift sanctions to cut off Russia's energy exports and support Ukraine's fight for peace. It's a tense situation that could escalate if action isn't taken quickly. Please continue to watch for more details and updates on these stories. The Toronto Star reports that Russian President Vladimir Putin is actively preparing for a new wave of military conflict in Ukraine, despite ongoing peace negotiations. U.S. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, who recently visited Kiev and Paris, warn that Putin's stall tactics in peace talks are a strategic move to buy time for a renewed offensive, potentially targeting more Ukrainian territory in the coming months. The senators emphasize that the window to prevent further escalation is closing rapidly, urging swift and comprehensive sanctions against Russia and its allies. They highlight the urgency of the situation, with Blumenthal describing the devastation in Ukraine and the mass graves in Bucha, while Graham points to credible intelligence indicating an imminent invasion, warning that Putin is preparing for more war. The bipartisan support for sanctions, including a bill that would impose harsh tariffs on countries supporting Russia's energy exports, underscores the gravity of the threat, as both senators stress that failure to act decisively could deepen U.S. involvement in a broader conflict. Meanwhile, the Nikkei Asia details Japan's strategic efforts to bolster its defense capabilities amid regional tensions, particularly with China. Defense Minister Gen Nakatani advocates for increased cabinet-level involvement in promoting defense exports and forging stronger security partnerships across the Indo-Pacific. His Ocean concept aims to create a network of shared defense platforms among like-minded nations, including the Philippines and Australia, to enhance operational efficiency and regional stability. Nakatani also clarifies that Japan's military procurement decisions will prioritize security needs over trade negotiations, especially in light of the current US-China trade tensions and the Trump administration's tariffs. Japan's ongoing 5-year defense build-up plan, despite currency fluctuations, reflects its commitment to strengthening its military posture, with US defense officials urging allies to increase their defense spending. The focus remains on maintaining regional stability through multilateral cooperation, balancing the threat from China while carefully managing defense procurement and international partnerships. The Toronto Star further highlights the international concern over Russia's ongoing aggression in Ukraine, with U.S. senators warning that Putin's reluctance to negotiate in good faith signals a readiness for further military escalation. The senators' visit to Kiev and Paris underscores the urgency of imposing crippling sanctions, particularly targeting Russia's energy exports, which fund its war efforts. Their assessment is that Putin is stalling peace talks to prepare for a summer or fall offensive, and they warn that if the West fails to act decisively, the conflict could escalate into a broader, more destructive war. The senators also emphasize the moral imperative to respond to the atrocities committed in Ukraine, including the deportation of children and mass executions, framing Putin as a murderer and a thug. Their diplomatic efforts in Europe, especially with French President Macron, reveal a rare unity across party lines in support of stronger sanctions and military aid, signaling a determined stance against Russian aggression and a hope that increased pressure can deter further violence. The Independent reports that Philippe Sands, a Harvard Law School professor and lawyer, vehemently dismisses claims of widespread anti-Semitism on Harvard's campus, branding such assertions as nonsense. Sands emphasizes that, like anywhere else in the world, instances of anti-Semitism do exist but are not pervasive or systemic. His comments come amid a politically charged backdrop where the Trump administration has cut nearly $2.65 billion in federal funding to Harvard, accusing the university of harboring radical left-wing ideologies and failing to address anti-Semitism effectively. The administration's actions have escalated to scrutinize students' social media accounts for signs of anti-Semitism and threaten to bar international students from enrolling, further intensifying the conflict with Harvard, which is fighting back through legal channels to protect its autonomy and reputation. Australian Broadcasting Corporation details Ukraine's upcoming peace negotiations with Russia, set to take place in Istanbul, where Ukrainian delegates are demanding a comprehensive 30-day ceasefire and the exchange of all prisoners of war. Kyiv's demands include maintaining its military strength post-peace deal, no international recognition of Russian territorial gains, and reparations, with the talks aiming for a lasting peace that guarantees Ukraine's security and sovereignty. Ukrainian President Zelensky, who previously challenged Putin to a face-to-face meeting, is preparing to send a delegation to the negotiations, emphasizing the importance of a durable peace agreement. The backdrop of these talks is the ongoing brutal conflict, which has seen Ukraine striking Russian aircraft with drones, and the international community, including the US, urging Moscow and Kyiv to find common ground. The Toronto Star reports a significant development in US immigration enforcement, highlighting the case of Saifullah Khan, a former Yale student and Afghan refugee, who was detained by ICE agents and tasered as he left an immigration hearing. His subsequent release on bond followed a federal court order limiting the authority of immigration officials to arrest or detain individuals within federal court buildings in Connecticut, aiming to safeguard the integrity and safety of judicial proceedings. Khan's case underscores the broader tensions surrounding immigration enforcement, especially the aggressive tactics employed by ICE and the legal efforts to curb their reach within judicial spaces. Khan, who has spent 14 years in the US, expressed his desire to become an American citizen, emphasizing his law-abiding nature and the injustices faced during his detention, which was triggered by his efforts to seek a resolution on his asylum application amidst the Trump administration's strict immigration policies. The Independent reports on a bizarre and unfounded conspiracy theory shared by former President Donald Trump, claiming that Joe Biden died in 2020 and was replaced by a robotic clone. Trump's post on Truth Social alleged that Biden was killed and replaced without the knowledge of Democrats, suggesting that the real Biden was substituted with clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless, mindless entities. Supporters of Trump eagerly embraced the claim, sharing memes and commenting on supposed physical differences, such as Biden's earlobes, while critics condemned the post as deeply concerning. Trump's weekend was filled with similar conspiracy theories, including false accusations about CBS deleting an interview and baseless claims about Melania Trump being replaced by a body double. These antics highlight Trump's persistent engagement with conspiracy narratives, regardless of their lack of factual basis, further polarizing the political landscape. Yahoo US details former Congressman David Jolly's emerging campaign plans for Florida governor in 2026, as he prepares to announce his decision soon. Having built support through town halls and grassroots meetings across the state, Jolly emphasizes the importance of mobilizing Democratic-leaning voters in Broward County, which he views as pivotal for a successful statewide campaign. Once a Republican, Jolly shifted to become an independent and recently registered as a Democrat, focusing on issues like property insurance, public education funding, reproductive rights, campaign reform, and gun violence reduction. His strategy involves building a broad coalition, especially among Black voters and Democrats in South Florida, aiming to leverage Broward's political influence to secure victory. His background as a political commentator and his advocacy for progressive causes position him as a notable contender in Florida's evolving political landscape. The Yahoo US Letters section features critical perspectives on various social and political issues, including a pointed critique of Governor Kim Reynolds' selective trust in parents. One letter compares her support for parental choice in education to her skepticism about parental involvement in healthcare decisions for transgender children, highlighting a perceived double standard. Another letter expresses concern over RFK Jr.'s appointment as head of the COVID vaccine initiative, citing distrust in vaccine safety and fears of traumatizing families who have lost loved ones to COVID. Additionally, writers reflect on the changing attitudes toward immigration, lamenting the shift from celebration to suspicion and broad-brush criminalization, and criticizing political manipulation at the border. Other letters address topics like the importance of preserving agricultural tools like pesticides, the need to honor veterans genuinely, and the dangers of recent policy changes that threaten civil rights protections for transgender individuals, illustrating a broad spectrum of societal tensions and debates. The Foreign Policy article highlights the historical roots of the sphere of influence concept, originating from the 1885 General Act of Berlin, which divided Africa among European powers and set the stage for 20th-century geopolitics. After a decline following the Cold War's end, when hopes for globalization and multilateralism surged, this approach appears to be resurging under recent leaderships, notably the second Trump administration, alongside Russia's Vladimir Putin and China's Xi Jinping, emphasizing regional dominance and strategic geography. The discussion explores how this renewed focus on spheres of influence and hemispheric ambitions might reshape international relations, with analysts warning that even if great powers carve up interconnected regions, the outcomes may not align with Washington's expectations. Articles from sources like Foreign Policy and others depict how America's reliance on geography, especially in the face of Eurasian autocracies and China's expanding influence in Latin America, risks falling into paternalistic patterns reminiscent of past interventions. Meanwhile, commentary suggests that the true story behind recent headlines may lie elsewhere, emphasizing the importance of understanding the evolving strategic landscape beyond surface-level power plays. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Empty smiles, their words misleading. Power games in dark